unfurling in front of her eyes. 3 fire engines were now parked haphazardly, at least 2 police cars that she could see, and now an ambulance was pulling to a halt. The scene played out like a silent movie. She could imagine it unfurling in slow motion, even though the reality was frenzied. There was a taste of salt on her lips, and she licked it away, realizing tears had escaped without her knowledge. Clenching her arms across her chest, she wrapped them around herself as tightly as she could, almost folding inwards. Her fingers tingled. If she brought them to her nostrils, she would smell the fuel on them. She didn't think she would ever forget that stench, its potency making her want to retch. "Is this what you wanted?" she asked herself. She pulled her hand away from her chest and held it over her mouth, her mind racing. She tried to imagine what would happen in the morning, how many employees would turn up to find nothing more than a pile of rubble where their precious offices once stood, or if they'd already been told they no longer had jobs to go to. Every one of them would no doubt have to speak to the police, tell them what little they knew. She was certain the detectives would be merely scratching the surface when it came to most of the staff, led on a merry dance that took them far away from what had really happened. There would likely be the odd comment from 1 or 2 members of the team who thought they had something of interest to say, but she doubted they'd point the detectives in the right direction. She focused her gaze on the small gathering of uniforms grouped beside one of the fire engines. A fireman was gesturing, pointing fiercely towards the building, while another one yelled behind him, calling others over. She hadn't imagined the fire would spread so quickly. Suddenly, it was apparent that something was happening, something urgent, for even from here she could sense the apprehension in the air. It had darkened somehow, become thicker with foreboding. Automatically, she inched forward until she was trapped in the beam of a streetlight. Her heart pounded even more heavily against the wall of her chest, as she strained to get a better view, edging closer still, along the narrow pathway that ran in front of the waterside houses. Everything told her she should leave. She should be at home with her family. At some point, there would be a call about what had happened, and when it came, that was where she needed to be. And yet, at the same time, she couldn't tear herself away from the scene. One of the firemen had now stood aside, allowing her a perfect vision of the stretcher on the pavement. A body was being carried out of the burning building, laid upon the stretcher, and then a circle of people closed around it, and she could see no more. Her body felt like liquid, as if at any moment she would melt away and sink into the ground. What had she done? It had seemed such a perfect solution, but now she could see that it was by no means an end. It was only the beginning. Now she could see that her actions would strip her of everything that was truly important. Her family. She clutched her stomach and bent double, retching on the path beside her. Her hands shook violently. Revenge and anger had blinded her, and now she might very well lose the 2 most important people in her life. And it was too late to do anything about it.
Tuesday, 14th of May. Initial interviews between DC Emily Marlowe and the staff of Morrison Wood, following the fire on Monday the 13th of May. Bryony Knight, account assistant.
Is anyone dead?
I'm afraid we can't answer that at this moment.
Can't answer? Okay. Well, in answer to your question, I've worked there for 18 months.
And who do you report into?
Well, it was Laura Denning before she went off on maternity leave. Then it was Mia who replaced her, and now it's both of them.